For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Connecticut seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
Is the gentlewoman opposed to the joint resolution?
I am opposed.
The gentlewoman qualifies. The clerk will report the motion.
Ms. Esty of Connecticut moves to recommit the bill. Moves to recommit the joint resolution, House Joint Resolution 90.
I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading.
Is there objection to dispensing of the reading? Without objection, so ordered. Gentleman from
Mr. Speaker.
Iowa. Gentleman from
Mr.
Iowa.
Speaker, I reserve a point of order on the gentlewoman's motion.
The gentleman's point of order is noted. Gentlewoman. Pursuant to the rule, the gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized for 5 minutes in support of her motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the 9th day of the unnecessary government shutdown and the 12th time we've made a motion to bring a clean continuing resolution to the floor. 12 times to allow this House to vote on a measure that's passed the Senate. 12 times to allow the House to vote on a budget figure that the Republicans asked for and that has already passed this House. A measure which, based on public statements by members of this body, would pass and reopen the government immediately. Across my district and across the country, workers have been furloughed, and veterans and seniors are seeing their earned benefits delayed. People in Connecticut and across America are suffering the consequences of this reckless, unnecessary shutdown in very real ways. For months, groups in Connecticut that partner with NIH to conduct research that we need to find breakthrough treatments for children and adults with cancer have been asking that we end the budget sequester. And last week, university hospitals and researchers like those in my state came together to oppose the piecemeal approach and ask this House to end the government shutdown. The shutdown means that loans for small businesses to help them grow and create jobs are being delayed. In fact, the average loans for small businesses approved per day in my district is $188,000. And those businesses put those loans to work creating jobs, ordering new equipment, exporting their goods. But they can't when the SBA is shut down. Business travelers need the entire federal budget reopened, not a gimmick piecemeal bill limited to parts of the FAA. Piecemeal are not a solution for families and children who need the entire federal government reopened so that Head Start's classrooms aren't closed. Piecemeal gimmicks are not a solution for our veterans who need the entire federal government reopened so that they don't face even more unnecessary, harmful delays for the benefits they have earned. Tax-paying Americans are right to expect their hard-earned tax dollars are used responsibly. What sense does it make for taxpayers to be footing the bill for furloughed workers who are prohibited from working when we can vote today for this motion, which would lead to the entire federal government reopening? Yesterday, I received a report that 801 unemployment claims had been filed in Connecticut from furloughed workers. Taxpayers will be paying unemployment instead of paying people to work. One vote is all it would take, and this motion could be that vote. It's time to end this shutdown. It's time to send a short-term funding bill to the President. It's time to reopen the entire federal government. It is time to be responsible. This is what I hear from folks across my district. Reopen the entire government. A manufacturer in my district let me know that the shutdown is causing uncertainty in its business and their customers' businesses. The shutdown has put a chilling effect on their customers and is harming confidence. Piecemeal gimmicks are not the solution to this problem. And this disingenuous piecemeal approach is not acceptable to the Chamber of Commerce and a coalition of over 250 associations representing multiple private sector, job-creating industries. They sent a letter to us even before the shutdown, urging this body to promptly pass a continuing resolution to fund the government and raise funding. We need to reopen the federal government for all of the American people. Make no mistake, I want the FAA reopened. I have contract towers in my district. I want the FAA reopened. I want the VA reopened. I want the entire federal government reopened. I ask my colleagues to be reasonable and vote to pass this motion to reopen the entire federal government. And I remind my colleagues who claim that we won't meet partway, we have. Mr. Speaker, the budget figure in this temporary spending bill is your proposal. The Republican budget number, which is much, much lower, frankly, than what Democrats prefer. But we want to end the shutdown and stop the pain for all of the American people. So we come before this House with the Republicans' own budget figure and ask all House members to do the right thing. Join us in reopening the federal government. I urge all House members to vote aye on this motion, and I yield back my time.
The gentlelady yields back. Does the gentleman from Iowa wish to be heard on this point of order? Insist.
Mr. Speaker, I make a point of order that the instructions contained in the motion violate Clause 7 of Rule 16, which requires that an amendment be germane to the bill under consideration. As the Chair recently ruled on October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 7th, 8th of 2013, the instructions contain a special order of business within the jurisdiction of the Committee on Rules, and therefore the amendment is not germane to the underlying bill. Mr. Speaker, I insist on my point of order.
Does the gentlewoman from Connecticut wish to be heard on the motion?
I would, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, doesn't the bill before us fund a portion of the federal government? My motion to recommit would open up the entire federal government so that all the benefits taxpayers have paid for with their hard-earned dollars are available. Can the Chair explain why it is not germane to open all of the federal government instead of just one portion? We have voted to pay workers furloughed during the shutdown. I supported that bill. But what sense does it make to have workers paid to sit at home and not able to do the jobs they want to do? What kind of a strange house is this that would force that situation on our workers and on our taxpayers? Mr. Speaker, if you rule this motion out of order, does that mean we will not be opening the entire federal government today? Can the Speaker explain why we can't open the entire federal government today?
The Chair is prepared to rule. The gentleman from Iowa makes a point of order that the instructions proposed in the motion to recommit offered by the gentlewoman from Connecticut are not germane. The joint resolution extends funding related to the Federal Aviation Administration. The instructions in the motion propose an order of business of the House. As the Chair ruled on October 2nd, October 3rd, October 4th, October 7th, and October 8th, 2013, a motion to recommit proposing an order of business of the House is not germane to a measure providing for the appropriation of funds, because such a motion addresses a matter within the jurisdiction of a committee not represented in the underlying measure. Therefore, the instructions propose a non-germane amendment. The point of order is sustained.